Okay.
So, Yoga
Sorry.
Sutra, the last sutra of the Yoga Sutras. In COVID quarantine, which means that tomorrow the yoga studio will probably magically open again. So 34, thus the supreme state of independence manifests while the gunas reabsorb themselves into prakriti, having no more purpose to serve the purusha. Or, to look from another angle, the power of pure consciousness settles in its own pure nature. Pantanjali does not mean here that the gunas and prakriti are really different, but we use the term prakriti when the gunas are not manifesting separately. When the gunas manifest, prakriti functions with the purusha. Once that job is over, the gunas withdraw their action from that purusha. Or you can put it another way, the power of pure consciousness settles in its own pure nature. That means that when the gunas withdraw, finishing their job, the purusha, having gotten completely clean, stops running around. It is settled. It is happy in its own true nature. It is no longer seeking happiness and peace from outside because it realizes that it is happiness personified. Now, if we go all the way back to the very beginning of the sutras, the second one in the first book says, Yoga Chitta Vritta Nirodha. Restraint of the modifications of the mind stuff is yoga. The third one is Taradrastu Svarupe Avasanam. Then the seer rests in its own state. The entire 4 books are the explanation of these 2 sutras. Chitta Vritti Nirodha is the practice. Svarupe Avasanam is the experience. That's why he again talks about the experience at the end. You just rest in your own true nature. You have played your games, you have gotten all your experiences, and now you are resting. By resting, Patanjali means that the true you is resting while your body and mind function. It's not that your body and mind necessarily rest always. They have to continue to fulfill the jobs for which they were created. According to the Prarabdha, a momentum has been created like a wheel that has been set in motion. You gave a push earlier, and the body and mind are facing that now as Prarabdha. When you attain the Jivanmukta state, the pushing hand is taken away, but the wheel won't stop immediately. It will continue until the momentum is lost. While the momentum continues, you just rest and watch what is happening as a witness. It's like an old grandpa watching the children but not being affected by them. In one sense, you are the witness. In another, you are the actor. It depends on where you put yourself. In reality, you are the witness, but if you miss the reality, you are the actor. When you become the actor, you are responsible for your actions. When you are the witness, you are not responsible for your actions because you are not acting. So either act and be responsible, or allow the mind and body to act and be a witness totally free. If the body and mind do something wrong, they will undergo certain sufferings. If my mind wants to push my finger into the fire, I am watching. My mind is pushing my finger into the fire. But because I am watching and not doing anything, that doesn't mean the finger won't get burned, nor the mind not feel the agony of it. When the mind cries, it got hurt, I must still watch that. The finger got hurt. The mind is suffering. But normally yogis do actions only for the sake of others. They are not affected by them because they are not doing anything for their own sake. Whatever the outcome, it goes to somebody else. Karma yoga, selfless service without personal expectation, is done by the mind. In fact, it is the mind that does all yoga practice, not the real you. That's why we rarely even talk about the true you. You can leave the real you alone. It is the image you or the ego you that needs yoga. It is to the ego that the teaching is given. If you want to be quiet and happy, perform actions for others' sake. No scripture is necessary for the true self. The entire practice is for the ego or lower self, the individual self. So let the lower self or ego or chittam free itself from egoistic activity. Then it can also rest in peace, reflecting the self. The mind need not always be functioning, and even if it is functioning, it can function peacefully and joyfully. Then it won't be a burden for the mind to function. When a yogi performs something, he or she enjoys it. It's a play, a game, to act. Scriptures talking of the self are just for the sake of our intellectual understanding, but the practical truth for the ego is very simple. Just learn to be selfless. Learn to lead a dedicated life. Whatever you do, do it for others. The dedicated ever enjoy peace. That's the reason I really don't speak about the scriptures very much. My students wanted to make a book about the Yoga Sutras, so I have said all of this. But for myself, I feel we don't really need scriptures. The entire life is an open book, a scripture. Read it, learn while digging a pit or chopping some wood or cooking some food. If you can't learn from your daily activities, how are you going to understand the scriptures? In conclusion, it is my sincere wish and prayer that each one of you experience the peace and joy of yoga through the help and grace of the great yoga adept Pantanjali Maharishi, and that you attain the supreme achievement to which his Yoga Sutras point. May you go beyond mere book knowledge and attain realization through purity of your heart in your very lives. Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat. Let me see what Candace Fire says. When the gunas involve, liberation is realized. When those primary elements or gunas involve or resolve themselves back into that out of which they emerge, there comes liberation, wherein the power of pure consciousness, Purusha, becomes established in its true nature. The enlightened yogi, such an enlightened yogi is purely spontaneous, with no actions whatsoever being motivated by the inner drives of samskaras and karma. 100% of actions are from the here and now response to the needs of the moment in relation to the service of other beings. This is easy for such a yogi, as there is no I and no other. It is all constant flow of pure, undivided consciousness, Purusha, that only seems to play here, there, and everywhere. This is the end of the Yoga Sutras, Om Tat Sat. Om, that alone is real. Thoughts? It makes me think of that sage, Nisargadatta. He's legendary because he was looking and looking for his guru. He wanted to find enlightenment. He searched and searched. And then the day he found his guru died. So his guru was only able to give him one instruction, which is Soham, I am that. Mm-hmm. He didn't need any scriptures. He didn't, all he needed to know was the true you is permanent thing and unchanging. And what is not you is anything that is impermanent, changing, or can die. And just from that, he contemplated and meditated and contemplated and meditated, and then he got enlightened. I mean, you can meet saintly people who have never ever done yoga in their lives, Mm-hmm. I like that idea that it's like it's not you doing the yoga at all. You are yoga, essentially. It's like now you reading this stuff. It's this current incarnation that you've inhabited.
It's almost like, for me, I feel like it could be under the ignorance umbrella. Like, no, that's not enough information. I need more, and then it's just like, I constantly find myself in like a catch-22 because I'm like, it's so simple, right? Wasn't one of the sutras, or we were talking about how simple it was?
Yes.
We make it.
Yes, but Sue doesn't like that.
No, I get bothered by that, but that's okay. That's just.
No, I know. But it's not, like, I get it. When people tell me, when I get real high anxiety when someone's like, oh, this was so easy to make. I'm like, nothing for me is easy to make, not even a salad. Right. Like, there's not even any cooking involved. It's just like automatic. I step in the kitchen and it's chaos. Nothing is so easy or simple for me.
It's the reality of it is simple, but the arriving at reality is not simple, because
So
we have so much Maya. The Maya is so severely complicated that walking through it is like so complicated.
Yeah.
So once you arrive, it's simple, but until you arrive, it's very complicated.
Well, I
so
Feeling like you could arrive, but you don't stay there, because unless you withdraw from
Right.
life. So even if you arrive, even if you're to experience it, it might only be fleeting because life intervenes again. And like you said, all this work that you're doing is really for the ego, for the mind. It's not for you. It's for the material stuff. You have to do the work for all of that, because it doesn't go away. It's still here, and you still have to deal with it.
That's been the theme all week in my classes. Maintenance. It's like you leave your car on the street and you don't do anything to it, it's gonna be just shellacked with dirt and gunk, and it's gonna break down, and it's a part of the material world. That's the mind body vehicle. It's due to this decay, and if we don't actively do maintenance, then the mind is going to break down and get sucked into illusion again, and the body is going to stop functioning. And yeah.
So I have one of the moms that I'm friends with. She doesn't do yoga. Like, she's very flat out about it, and she's married to someone who's like named Vishnu, and their wedding was a whole ritual. But she'll tell you, I don't do yoga, I don't do mindfulness. That just drives me freaking nuts. And she's very like flat out, and I love her. She's like so true and raw. But anything that comes up, she's a teacher. She has asthma. Her son is allergic to everything under the sun. So like she deals with this, with everything like this. And I'm like, you are yoga constantly. Like, she's the simple yoga, but she'll tell you she doesn't do any of it. She's like, don't tell me to stop and breathe. But she'll just stop. She'll say like, oh, I was getting really anxious yesterday. She's like, but it is what it is. So now I'm going to put in my paperwork, and it's going to work out the way it's going to work out. And like, she constantly does this all the time with everything. And I'm like, and then she'll turn around. She's like, yeah, that mindfulness stuff, not for me. But she's always there. Like, she'll just, and it's like, I watch her do it, and it's like, she makes it look so easy and so simple. I'm like, how?
Yeah, some people just come in like that, huh? I'm trying so hard to raise Isabella like that. The reasoning like that with the toddler's ego, though, it's been very interesting. Oh, God. She's such a Gyani. It's already like, since she turned 2, why? And like, I'll answer her. I'll keep answering her. And eventually she'll be like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that makes sense. All right, I can do what you're asking me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I think about Isabella, and I'm like, oh, she's so lucky to have a mom like Amanda, you know, like all this knowledge and wisdom. But then you had shared that about the questions, and I'm like, we really are bringing stuff from somewhere else, like, because she already is carrying baggage with her, and she's like a toddler. Like, not baggage in a bad way, but like, she
no,
already
totally,
has
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Kyle used to ask me the craziest questions about God and like all this like higher power, like, how did this come around? And if this happened this way, why is this happening? And I'm like, he was like super little at night, like tugging him in at night. When he was, I think from like 2 to like 6, there's always these crazy deep conversations, like the like whys of like out there stuff. Now he doesn't do it anymore. It makes me sad.
Oh, maybe one day when he's in college, he'll get back into it. Yeah, how was that woman raised that she was, you know, oh, here we are in the present moment. That's it.
Yeah, she blows me away like constantly, because she said to me so many times, like, I don't do yoga and I don't do this. And like, Vish has his altar downstairs. I'm not going to sit in front of that. And, and then she just always like right there.
That's so funny. She married a yogi.
He's not even a yogi, but he grew up with the philosophy and it's his culture.
Yeah, so he's a yogi.
Yeah, like meaning like he doesn't practice on the mat, but that's what he grew
doing
up with.
All the other stuff though.
Like how Ashley grew up with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's a better yogi than me getting on the mat. But it's just mind blowing. And she's not Indian, like she's from Puerto Rico and grew up in a total crazy, the opposite extreme family. But it's mind blowing that she's always like.
But yeah, she's doing it the right way. Like, she's not even labeling herself as it. Like, I don't walk around town like, oh, I practice yoga.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm a yogi. Like, people like will comment to me about it, but I don't like brag that this is the way. I just try to like live that life. But she's funny. She's like trying not to even like.
She doesn't try. Like, there's no try. She just does it. And that's when we talk about simple. Like, it makes me think of her.
Mm.
She got it down simple.
It's funny how adamant she is that she doesn't do it. Like, she's just so afraid to admit to herself that she is living in the moment.
Well, I also
It's
think
weird.
the way that some of this stuff is presented now is just so off-putting. It's so twee. It's so fey. It's so,
Yeah.
come on. I mean, it just is. It's so off-putting. And, you know, when you find it presented more authentically, it makes a huge difference. But a lot of it is, I can't say too much to a couple of my brothers about this because, well, they would have a great time for the next 2 years, but I'm not up for that, you know.
Right.
And so I don't blame her. I mean, the way that it's presented and in mainstream media very often, I mean, I absolutely hate it. The way the New York Times talks about mindfulness and gives these cute little mindfulness exercises drives me to think violent thoughts. I mean, it's sort of like, come on, guys. It is the flavor of the month for a lot of people.
It is, and it's like just some people like just to use the words.
Yeah,
it's not going to get you anywhere, right?
Right.
No.
And so, yeah.
It demeans and diminishes what it is. It diminishes the power of it, and it diminishes the effort that it takes to move forward in it. Sort of like when people make those stupid Freud jokes about psychotherapy. It's kind of like, laugh all you want. I can't tell you the number of people I know who have been helped, you know, by going regularly and doing the hard work and suffering the hard suffering and realizing the moments of joy. But it takes work, and it is, you know, you turn it into a meme and it's nothing. So anyway, maybe that's one reason why she doesn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, if it's another identity that you're supposed to smash yourself into, why would anybody want to take on another identity in any capacity? Like, unless they feel so lost. You know, if somebody feels like they've got it down, what's the point then? But I think it's not emphasized the maintenance.
Yeah, like we could all just go out tomorrow and forget everything we've just done for the last few weeks and be back to square one.
Right.
But we have to, like we said, like, this is nice. We have this accountability, but you take the accountability away, and then I just don't meditate for 2 weeks, you know. But you really have to be dedicated, like you said, Amanda, and have your maintenance and keep doing it for yourself, not for anybody else.
And I think what this group has taught me, other than aside from the philosophy and trying to understand some more pieces of that, but what it's taught me is how much I benefit from practicing meditation every day. And so if I don't continue it myself, that would be silly because I taking this time this summer to do it every day has made a big difference. And on the days when I haven't done it, I feel the difference. So the regular maintenance, it's very apparent to me. It's very visible what the benefit is. And so that usually, when you've got a why for doing something, it makes it easier to do it.
Yeah.
The discipline of showing up daily makes it so much easier than, because it's so easy to just fall off and then totally forget. Like last November when I was having my complete breakdown last fall, and I had so many, I'm like, Renata goes, I ran into her in the parking lot at Trader Joe's, and I was bawling my eyes out in the parking lot. And she's like, you got tools. They're in the attic. Pull them out. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
And then I text Amanda. I'm like, that's it. This is it. I'm like, it ends today. And that's all it took. Like, I got on the mat, I meditated, I did my stuff, and it was over. But I was in hell for like, I don't know, a full month.
I feel like we are mentally surviving this whole situation because of this group. I don't know. This has been really helpful for, what has it been, 5 months?
It certainly helps.
6 months? It's been half a year we've been doing this now?
5 months. 5 months and a couple of days, I think.
Yeah. And there's been a big transformation. And some of the moments have felt like so intense, like you're saying, Sue, like when you're going through psychotherapy and it's so awful sometimes, but like you get to the other side and you really leave. And I think some people just don't want, I think that's maybe why it's gotten so watered down, because a lot of people are moving through life and they don't want to feel uncomfortable.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I also think opposite. I think people just like suffering, living in that suffering.
Yep.
'Cause
Well, one of the things my husband says to me is when I ask him sometimes why it takes so long for some people to get to him, for example, he said, because on some level it's actually working for them. They're
Yeah.
miserably unhappy, but
Yeah.
on some level it is working.
It's feeding
And
them.
it's when it stops working, it becomes so painful and the trade-off isn't worth it anymore.
Where's the, that quote, when it became harder, like the thing about the rose, I think, or the flower, it became harder to stay closed and tight than opening up and budding.
Oh, that's nice.
That's so insightful.
Yeah.
My teacher always says that. He's like, people usually don't get into spirituality until they are so done with the material world. They are so over it. It's like, this isn't working. And they
just read one of the sutras we
it.
just read, just said that. It just said that. Remember, the interpretation was, that's it. I'm done with the clubs. I'm done with Vegas, you know.
And that's why they go to his lectures.
And that, yes, exactly.
Any other thoughts before we sit to meditate?
Funny, yesterday I was in a class, I'm doing a class about a book called Being the Change, about being the change in the classroom, the change that's needed in the classroom. And one of the activities that was suggested to do with children, but so we did it in our group, was identity webs. And so the girl who was facilitating the group did it as a Menti thing. So you go onto the Menti site and you plug in your words, and the more people that put in the same word, it comes up bigger as a word, as a word cloud. And so everybody was doing that, labeling themselves, and I did it too. I put in the things that would label me, but as I was doing it, I was thinking, but that's not me. And should I say that to everybody? We're all labeling ourselves, but not us, but I didn't. I just kept it to myself. But I would like, I can label my identity, but I also made me think, so if we do this with children, we're just kind of perpetuating that myth for them that this is who they are.
Mhm.
But I understand why we do it with children, because just for self-reflection. But I thought it was interesting yesterday. I wanted to start that conversation in the group, and I thought, not the right group. This is not the group for this.
Wise Jackie.
People would have been like, who is she?
So do we want to meet tomorrow, or is this going to be it until September 1st?
Do you guys want to just meet and meditate?
I can
Yeah.
do that tomorrow. Just we
Yeah.
can log on at 7:30 and have a chat and then meditate.
Okay.
Sure.
And then I'll take off until September 1st and move it up to 7 starting September 1st.
That's if that helps people.
I'm flexible, whatever works for you guys.
Maybe
Jackie,
just
do
take
you
it
think
off
so?
till September 1st and then leave it as is, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
So wait, we're leaving the time at 7:30 for September 1st, and we'll talk about it then?
Well, let's talk about in the next 2 weeks what time we want to make it. Is what I'm saying before she changes it on my body.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll chat about it.
works for me.
So I tend to jump the gun so I can get things done.
Right,
So I
and
can
then
cross off
we
my
like go
list.
back and everything's crazy because then I got to change the website, and then like someone's gonna be like, "You have it on another." It's just like, let's just hold on for a
I
second.
got it. I understand totally.
Two total different perspectives from what we're dealing with. Okay.
All right, so let's do alternate nostril breathing. You can take your right hand, open up your palm, fold the peace fingers into the center of the hand. Close off your right nostril with your thumb. Inhale through the left. Close off both sides. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close off both sides. Exhale through the left. I'm going to offer that to you. Take that as long as you need it. And when you feel stable, you can come into your meditation practice. Bringing the hands to prayer, bowing the head. Namaste, everybody. Have a great day.
Namaste.
Jackie, before you go.
Yeah.
Hi, I just want to make sure you got the text for Anthony on Sunday, 10 a.m.
Yes.
Okay. And then if it's raining, are you comfortable? They have like behind, above the pool, like right outside of their living room, that whole room, it's like a sunroom. It's all ventilated. Would you be comfortable in there?
Yeah, I kept my mask on even outside when I was teaching them, just for their sake, because I didn't feel like they were 6 feet away from me. So they didn't have masks on, but I did when I taught them. So yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. He said he had it in March.
He had it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't say anything that she got it. So I told him, because I'm like, that's where we did it, because they had 4 girls over for a birthday for the little one, for their daughter. And I was like, oh, this will be good if it's raining. I was like, I'll just make sure Jackie, is comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and you have to send an invoice for the classes whenever you decide to do it. Like, if you want to do each class, or like, I was just gonna wait.
Yeah. How much was it?
I have to look. I think it's 125 or 120 something.
Really? I don't remember.
Yeah, they pay a lot more because it's a hike getting there.
Yeah.
But they were fine with it. He paid me for the blocks.
How was
my
he?
God.
He was having a hard time doing down dog the first week. His wrists were bothering him, and his knee was bothering him, and
Oh wait, we're still recording.
oh,